Hey guys, how's it going? This is a really weird week for me. I went through my list, I checked it twice just to be sure, and it turns out I only had 4 comics. I have no idea how that happened. I don't remember the last time I had that few comics in like living memory. I kind of was like, maybe I should buy something else. But then there's like the conversion stuff, and that's not really doing it for me right now. We'll just go through the ones that I have to talk about this week. For those of you who haven't tuned in before, I go through, I talk a little bit about the comics I read each week, trying to keep it as spoiler free as possible so you guys can still enjoy them when you get to them. Once I get through those 4 whole comics, I was going to talk a little bit about the pretty cool card game and a few other things. So if you guys want to stay tuned for that too, feel free. Otherwise, you guys have a nice short video to watch this week. Hopefully, a ramble. You'll find out. So I don't physically have it in my hands at the moment. I forgot to pick it up, but I got to read it digitally. Chew 48, imagine I'm holding it. It's a cool, mostly white, like blue etched cover characters. I feel weird. I always have a comic in my hand. I don't know how to do this. I love that series. Chew is fantastic. Those of you who aren't reading Chew, there's only 12 issues left. It's almost over. Plenty of time to get caught up and start reading in single issues before it's over. It's fantastic. Avian bird flu has spread to humans, and therefore chicken has become illegal. And the FDA is actually the government's most powerful agency at this point. And there's people with all these different food powers. Agent Chew being one of them. He's a psychopath who, if he eats something, he can find the history of the food. I may have talked about this before, but it's an amazing series. It's absolutely one of my favorites of all time. And I want everybody to read it. So if you don't like mature comics, if you don't like some violence and some little bit of cannibalism here and there, maybe it's not for you, but for everyone else out there, it's really one of the best reads, and I love that series, and I'm going to be really sad to see it be over, but I feel it's going to end well. And just from what little I got to talk to John Layman over at Emerald City, I have really, really high hopes for the end of this series, and I feel it's going to be a good end, even if it'll be very bittersweet when it happens. So next up, we have a new #1, another Chip Zdarsky penned book, Kaptara. This is his creator-owned comic. Kagan McLeod is doing the art on this one here. So this story is cool. You have a crew, they're traveling to Mars, and on their way there, they go through like an asteroid tunnel kind of thing, and instead of ending up on Mars, they end up on a completely alien planet. And so it definitely has Chip Zdarsky's, sorry, I'm trying to get, so there's not like glare going on. It definitely has Chip Zdarsky's humor to it. There's definitely a lot of some very ridiculous things, but it's very well written as well. You get a good story, it's intriguing, so I'm interested to see where it goes, and the art in here is pretty fun. So yeah, Kaptara, check it out. Sci-fi humor adventure. And then we have up Deadly Class. Oh my god. There's actually 2 covers for this book. I have both of them kicking around here somewhere. This is one of the covers here. Let me get a little closer because the artwork on it is kind of small. It's actually a really crazy issue. A lot of stuff is happening. I'm looking forward to next month because there's a lot that happened and I can't talk about any of it because it's a lot of big story happenings. But as always, this is one of those series that you don't know what to expect going into it, but you're bound to get some serious action in there, and it has yet to disappoint me in that sense. So very thrilled with that. And my very last comic for the week, I can't believe we're already here. Took up less than a page of notes. For those of you who haven't seen it, I keep a journal. So as I read my comics, I just jot down a couple notes here and there, so that way, because I don't always read all my comics the same night, or if I've read them hours apart, that way I'd be like, oh wait, what was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, I wanted to show you this thing. And so it's just my cheat sheet. If you catch me glancing down, that's what it is. Maybe one day I'll be fancy enough to have a teleprompter or something, or actually edit my own damn videos. We'll see. But anyway, yeah, so the last one we have for the night is Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. I love this series. It is so freaking charming and adorable. This series is actually really great. She teams up with Galactus, kind of, in a way I've not seen before, but really charming. It's a guy who does Adventure Time, so it's just whimsical and happy and delightful and a little ridiculous. Everything about this is good stuff. And it's lovely for all ages, and by that I mean kids and grown-ups adults like me who have no kids to speak of. But it says it's rated T, but I haven't really come across anything other than like minor crude humor, but about the same level that you would see in Adventure Time. Just the rating on Marvel's a little different on there. Yeah, that's it. That's all I have for comics this week. But that being the case, since there's only a few things to talk about, I did want to get a chance to talk to you about a card game which I really, really dig. And since you guys are here to talk about comics or listen about comics, I figured you guys might be interested in it. This is actually a card game put out by Skybound Games, the company, the image imprint that brings you The Walking Dead. Skybound Games has a game called Superfight here. As it says, it's a game of absurd arguments. That is absolutely true. This game answers the age-old question, who would win in a fight? And by that, I mean, you open up your box. It's going to be similar for those of you who have played Cards Against Humanity. You will recognize the black cards and the white cards. However, this is a completely different game than Cards Against Humanity, and I will argue that it is 100 times a better game than Cards Against Humanity. I enjoy that game, but anytime I play Cards Against Humanity with people, for those of you who don't know what Cards Against Humanity is, it's the rated R equivalent to Apples. But anytime, I dropped a bunch of my cards. For those of you who have played Cards Against Humanity, it's not that I don't like it, it's just, I played a few times and then I'm bored with it, and I don't really care to own it. This game, however, I really feel is very replayable, especially with the expansions that they incorporate in. So essentially, you could do it one of several ways. The rules are very specific in the fact that it's your game. You should be able to do what you want with it. They have all sorts of variations you can play with, which are really fun, and they give you some really cool alternatives. So essentially, the very basic thing, you draw 3 black cards, and then you draw 3 white cards. And the white cards are going to be your character card. So I have a Velociraptor, I have Abraham Lincoln, and I have one which is pick a comic book character, which at that point it's up to my own discretion. So then we have the black cards, which are your powers. I have Venomous Bite, literally a GIF, or GIF, depending on how you happen to say that, and Throws Antiques. So I build what I feel will be the best superhero team up. So I'm going to pick Invincible, my favorite superhero, with a Venomous Bite, because I feel that is, you know, pretty solid. He's got some pretty good punches, he's invincible, and he has a Venomous Bite. So, you know, if he gets crazy, he could bite somebody. So the other person will do the same, picking what they feel is their best combination. You reveal them at the same time. However, there is a twist. So I have my Invincible with a Venomous Bite, but once I reveal this card, I also randomly draw another black power card to add to it, so I don't get to choose. So now I am Invincible with a Venomous Bite, and my random draw is, I have machine guns for legs. So now that I have this power-up combo, I have to make an argument. And so when I see the other person's, I'm like, well, obviously Invincible would win, because not only is he like super powerful, he's half Viltrum, he's half human, he's got the best of both worlds there. He's got a venomous bite, so if you ever actually get close enough, he can take you out and you just get poisoned, and it's gonna be. And then even more, if he's flying, he can just turn around and machine gun leg shoot you. You have absolutely no chance. So that's just the basic premise of how you argue it out. You don't have to be a good arguer, whatever. But it's just very fun. It's absurd, and you can do it in many different ways. You can do it 1 versus 1, where whoever wins in that combat, their winning fighter will go face the next person in the table and around the circle that way. You can do it free for all, where everyone competes against each other. You could do it where the villain, where one person is the villain, they draw a character that you guys then build your characters to fight, and the villain gets to decide who they feel is the best suited to beat their villain. And then there's a bunch of other variations in here too, where it's like you can play like who would make the best dating profile, and really, it's really fun, it's flexible, they want you to have fun with it. And there's a ton of expansions too, so there's a red one, which is rated R cards, if you want to make it a little bit, and some of these cards are super ridiculous, super raunchy, so it's very definitely rated R there. They also have a green deck, which is an all ages deck. They have a purple deck, which is a situations deck. So you can either before you draw your characters or after you draw your characters, you can draw a purple situation card. So then, like, we have Invincible with a Venomous Bite with machine gun legs, who has instructions. And then oh no, they're in a barricade, so it's literally a hurricane filled with bears. And so then you have to argue why your character would win also in that situation. There is another deck, which is a locations deck. I don't have that one yet. But then there's also this one. The orange deck is fantastic. It's the geek deck. It incorporates all silly characters, all the ridiculous. You can roll a critical fail. You can have all sorts of superpowers. It's very fun. And then those of you who subscribe to Loot Crate may have a couple months back seen this Loot Crate Superfight expansion. So it's a really fun game. The base game alone will keep you happy for many, many times that you play it. But the expansions add a lot to the game. It's very fun. It's very ridiculous. Get a group of people, have some drinks or not. It'll be a great time. I've played this with a bunch of different types of people. My future sister-in-law and, you know, family members, friends. It's just absurd. It's silly. You can play with all ages. It's very flexible in that sense, which is why I like it. And I feel it's very superior to Cards Against Humanity. It's a totally different game, but I feel it's a much more replayable, much better executed game. And the guy who created this game actually has a Kickstarter going out right now for another game. I think it's still going, so definitely check that out as well. I think it's called Red Flags, but definitely Kickstarter card games, guy who made Superfight. So that was the other review I wanted to do for this week, and then since I happen to be in my corner, I figured I'd show you my guy and I, like I said, we're getting married and we both love comics, so we're gonna have a nerdy comic wedding. So we're doing things for like centerpieces. I'm making like decoupage Mod Podge bottles where I'm cutting out pieces. Don't worry, I'm cutting these out from previews because I could not bear to cut up a comic myself. I even looked at a bunch of free comic book day ones and I couldn't do it. But yeah, I'm making a bunch of these bottles here for centerpieces, and then for my actual bridal bouquets and stuff, I've been making a bunch of like roses and stuff, other flowers, and those are all cut from comics as well. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but I'm really enjoying it. So I'm really having a good time with that. But yeah, that's it for me this week. And sorry there weren't that many comics to talk about, but I'm sure there's a lot of cool trades out there. I haven't checked the list to see exactly what's out this week, but definitely worth checking out. And that's it for me this week. Take it easy, have fun, enjoy the nice, beautiful sunshine that you're hopefully also experiencing, and I will see you next week. Take it easy.